I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Welcome to, episode 170 something of Trends in the Housing Market. And man, do we have a really good trends show for you guys tonight. I'm going to wait a few minutes till we get enough people here. I got some great news for you guys. An unexpected transmission. We've intercepted a transmission. And it's an interesting one. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I'm not sure how to take this. But it's very it's totally housing related, so don't worry, you're on the right show. I do have some important news for you guys, and it's big. It is big. So, thanks everyone for joining. I bid you good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. You are watching Trends in the Housing Market, and it's an interesting episode tonight. It's a very interesting episode. So sit back, relax, enjoy, crack open a window, maybe light up a nice, fine Cuban cigar while you still could afford to do it. You know, maybe enjoy a little bit of white, sip on some nice red port wine. Not too sweet, but a good port, you know? A good one from northern Portugal. Because, man, do I have a good one for you guys tonight. Rush, get the YAYO. Get the YAYO. So we're going to wait for a few more people to come on. And before that happens, let's go over some channel news. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And we got Solid Extra. Yeah, if you want to... Solid Extras in the comments. If you want to cancel your Subscribe Star and join here, it's the same thing. If you want to join Subscribe Star... If you guys want to, then I know you guys are members on the channel here. I know on the in the comments who is legitimately who. And here it is. You could join right here. It's not expensive. Guys, I want to thank everyone that's been shopping. Canadian Girl in the House. Guys, I want to thank everyone. People have been shopping at the Mike in the Nights and Trends in the Housing Market store. Like all this stuff I got here. And we got the new Raven mugs out here. They are the new Raven mugs. And they're cheap. They're like $10 or is it $12 Canadian? It's not even expensive. There's the front, the Raven. Here's the back. It's got a Raven on it. It's really nice. And it says Mike in the Night. And it's got these really cool gothic looking letters. And then we've got another Raven, a Raven mug here. Number 2. And this one's on a mountain of skulls. There's the Raven there. And then there's the back right there. And it's got Mike in the Night signature on it. It's really nice at the bottom corner if you guys want to pick that up for yourselves. Really nice. It's like... It's probably the same price you'd buy something at Walmart for. Let me see what the price is. $15 Canadian. So that's not bad at all. VC is saying, apparently my tights are on the way soon. Nice. So if you don't mind taking a photo for us, these tights here, I've been selling all kinds of this stuff. It's pretty cool. It's got Mike in the Night. This one has Mike in the Night hidden on here in right. It's really hidden. But that's a really nice one. But there's better ones here. This one. I like this one. Tell me you got this one, VC. Right here. It's got Mike in the Night at the bottom. Yeah. Someone's asking if I pay Raven. No, Raven is a true diehard supporter of the channel, right? Guys, I got a show and a half for you guys. I'm kind of happy to see Layla in the comments, Jordan Retro in the comments, Canadian Girl in the comments. Guys, you're going to have to sit back for this episode. I'm just going to wait till a few more people come on before I kick this one off tonight. My temperature is rising. I didn't intercept. It was transmission that came from a good friend of mine, Cesar Rosa, sent me a transmission from Miami. And it's a big one, guys. It's a big one. And I ain't playing games tonight, man. Tonight's no games, man. And tonight's no holds bars. Jasmine in the comments from Vancouver. Okay, so guys, don't forget to hit me up on PayPal. I'm still on Patreon, guys. But if you want to switch from Patreon to this, to join here, it's the same thing. And I get to see you guys in the comments. And you see how VC has this little dollar sign? And the longer you stay on the channel, the longer the colors change. And it becomes more like, I don't know, like you've been long term. Guys, I look at that. 45 inbox messages here on my Facebook page. My fan page, it's got 117,000 people. Go ahead and message me on there if you like. You could find my links up here on the top right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to really calm down. I'm gonna have to calm right down. And I'm not playing a game. I ain't acting. I'm not here to work you guys up and then there's nothing, because there's something. And I'm it says there's only one person watching, so I'm not sure how many people are actually watching. Guys, can someone comment below? It shows one person watching. Is there more than one watching, guys? Can someone tell me in the comments? Because I have a big announcement to make. It's pretty big, and I want to make sure. Now it shows 0 people watching. Okay, 16. Okay, so it tells me that there's nobody watching the show right now. Okay, I watch 17 watching. Joel, okay, 16. Okay, we got, because I don't want to repeat myself 28 times. Because this is actually big. It ain't, like I said. Maybe I should save it for mid-show till there's enough people watching. But I don't even know how to say this, guys. Yeah, and it deals with housing, so don't worry. I'm on topic tonight. Okay. Here goes. I got an email today, and it's in Spanish, from a friend of mine named Cesar Rosa. And he's a big deal real estate player down in South Beach. And he messaged me today. It's in Spanish here, and I'll get to the point. Apparently, crooked real estate agents, Canadian crooked real estate agents, have gone down from Toronto, GTA surrounding area, made their way down to South Florida, and have been advertising homes in China to Chinese investors to buy up Miami. I spent many years in Miami. I just, the affordability, you buy a house for 150 grand, buy a 1-bedroom condo for 56, 60, 65,000. I was really hinged on like permanently retiring to Miami Beach. I'm 41, and I'm scared that we might lose South Florida. We've lost Vancouver because I've left there. A lot of people have left there. We lost the whole west coast of the United States all the way down to the Tijuana border. We've lost it all. Unaffordability levels are just out of reach. Now, there are crooked Canadians says, Oye, Mike, buenas tardes. Estoy mandando este mensaje para decirte que está un problema muy grande aquí. So, in Miami. Okay, so agents are going down. Canadian agents are going down with basically setting up portfolios and starting to buy properties sight unseen. Okay, so here's so he sent me an article too with it and said he's not. So here it is, guys. It was posted yesterday. Chinese investors are buying real estate in Miami, and here are the stats to prove it. So the same thing happened where in Seattle, what happened with Seattle, they keep blaming the tech gurus and all this. It's a lie. They published condos and condo magazines and condos pre-built all in Mandarin, and they went and advertised. But it was crooked Canadian real estate agents that went down to Washington State after they implemented the foreign buyers tax in Canada, and that was in tail end of 2017. And look what's happened to Washington State since then, right? Now we got Miami now, and a bunch of, according to him, crooked real estate agents from the GTA Greater Toronto area are in Miami selling sight unseen properties to Chinese investors who would basically gonna leave them empty. Are they allowed to practice in Florida? No. What they did was the same thing they did in Seattle. They're not practicing. They're like, I got these investors, these 28 people, and they're looking to buy a couple of hundred units each. And they don't even care if they're rented. They just want to leave them empty. And right now in Miami, like we could go to MLS, you could still pick up, like in a luxury condo like this, you could pick up something for $170,000 to $210,000 for like a 3-bedroom luxury condo on the beach. All I wanted when I turned 65, I just wanted to get a little thing, maybe in Homestead, maybe south of Miami a little bit, a nice little 1-bedroom for me and the wife when the kids are off to college or whatever, and then I could Airbnb my house or something. I could figure something out. It's not that hard. Now it looks like if it begins here in Miami and they're snapping up properties, 10, 20 properties at a time, we'll lose Florida. The affordability, the nice weather. Heck, they'll put a gate in front of the state of Florida, like to show other paperwork to get in. Real estate agents are property pimps. Canada cannot compete with Miami. Miami will become the new China. Someone tell me I'm wrong. Well, Johnny Utah is asking how long is my toupee thing going to last? Well, it stays on for 6 weeks. I mean, ow, that hurts. I could pull it. I could swim with it. I went swimming with it the other day. So someone's saying that I'm wrong. Or no, somebody is wrong in the comments, not me. Yeah, Gary Medeiros has it right here. The Canadian real estate is a joke. They are catering to all foreigners and leaving the Canadian proper in the dust, of course. And I'm just really, I feel broken that now we're gonna lose Miami, and what screwed over Seattle was when they made those Mandarin condos like in the magazines, and they were just advertising Seattle. And now a lot of these pre-builts in Miami, they're just going to see, here it is. For years, Miami's residential real estate professionals and real estate agents waited for Chinese investors, and finally they are here. Chinese buyers are buying tons of real estate in Miami. And Knight Frank Global Research, but now they make 4% of the foreign buying pool, according to most recent data published from 2018. That's a lot, 4% of the buying pool. That's a lot. Bailey compared info to 4% of the buying pool. What if that 4% buys 25% of existing really? Oh, Mike, that's not going to happen. Yeah, there's one guy in Vancouver that has almost $1 billion in real estate. One guy. Chinese buyers, Bailey compared info data for 2019, published in June. The data shows that more Europeans, Canadians, and even Chinese buyers boasted sales level activity. He said that a broadening of buyers of shopping for primary residence in Miami strengthened the residential market between 2018 and 2019. See, 2017, the luxury real estate market was weak. Now it's showing to begin signs of improvements in the market. So here's the problem, guys. When they say Canadians are buying, I don't think it means like Canadians. I think it's people who, are like, like if I was to buy there, they would probably say I'm a Canadian, but I'm a Portuguese. I hold a Portuguese citizenship. They probably say I'm a Canadian that's buying, even though I'm a Portuguese. They won't. You know what I'm trying to say? So here it is, guys. Half out-of-town buyers are coming from the Northeast thanks to tax changes, Bailey said. Tax flight. So you know what's happening in New York, but parts of New York are becoming more and more unrecognizable, and you more too. So it's like they're buying because the tax status. The other half are foreign out-of-town buyers, almost evenly split between Latin America and other regions such as Europe, Canada, and China, according to the National Association of Realtors. 48% are from Latin America, 20% from Canada, 12% from Brazil. The rest come from Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, United Kingdom. But if 4% of the market is Chinese, of the foreign buyer pool, that's just how Vancouver started back in 2007. It started exactly like that. And then it got worse, and then it got worse, and then it got worse. And I got to a point where there's nobody there. I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, how is it? I know you're still working at the big building, the bronze building there, right in downtown on Broadway. You know, you're on the big building there in Vancouver. How is it going? Oh, it's good, but the thing is, if I stay longer after work, the city's abandoned. Like if I take an evening shift and I go on my lunch late, there's nobody there. Even like Tim Hortons are closed in the downtown core because there's nobody there. Everybody goes on the train and goes 200 miles away to go home. Okay, so Supreme Canon saying solid extra. Okay. Solid Extra saying Solid Extra overseas Chinese aren't buying the places to live in. That's correct. So ethnic makeup of any of the area probably isn't going to be a big factor. But the ethnic makeup will be just empty. It would be empty. Then you start seeing bars closing and everything closing. That's how it starts. It starts slower, then it works its way up. Now it's like, yeah, and see right here. She expects that buyers to remain in the market for investment from China to continue to grow. And guess who's going to continue buying up the market when the Americans can't afford to buy their own places? Foreign investors. You know? And a lot of people are like, Mike, you keep picking on the Chinese. I'm not picking on the Chinese. If it was the Portuguese, I'd be saying, the Portuguese, what are the Portuguese doing? You know what I'm saying? If anything, they deported thousands of us. It was the other way around. People that own homes, people that had a family. And not only that, if it was the Russians, I'd say it is. But there's a huge mass move. And I did the video earlier today on the channel. $200 billion laundered through Canadian real estate. $200 billion. Right there, Supreme Canon. True, Mike, the cities are being hollowed out. It is actually going to erode the value of the properties. Gary Medeiros is saying something's going to give. Something's going to give. Chinese tycoon agrees to buy London mansion for £200 million. That's another big one that's in the news. £200 million. Wow. Oops. This is an article that was sent to me from someone that watches me in Baltimore. These cities have the most overpriced homes in the U.S. Use extreme caution when buying. This is a very important one. I might do an independent video about on this. Very overpriced. I think there was something in here about investing. Yeah. These have been especially popular with Chinese buyers. And homes have been purchased by Chinese nationals, sit unoccupied. The problem has gotten bad enough that the city requires owners of unoccupied houses to register those homes to the city directly. So this is not me picking, again, it's just what's happening. So these are cities that are turning into empty shells from what I've been hearing. So here it is, New York. So let's go back to number one. Bethesda, Maryland. Medium price. Wow, Maryland. $1.2 million. Medium home value, $971,000. Overpriced by $247,000. Arcadia, California. Median listing price, $1.46 million. Median home value is $1.228 and overpriced by $240,000. Most of these homes are left empty. 10.7, almost, wow, that's a lot. New York City, median listing price, $788,000. Home value, $616, overpriced by $171,000. Dallas, Texas. Oh my God, the median listing price is $387,000. That's so high. Median home value, $224,000. That's what the average house in Texas and Dallas is worth. Overpriced by $163,000. Look, I might be dumb, but I ain't stupid because I know what things go for. New Orleans, what? Median listing price, $327,000. Median home value, $168,000. Overpriced by $158,000. Wow, I'm going to have to make an independent video of this one, maybe in the morning or something, or maybe when I get some time. I'm going to leave a link here on my desktop so I don't forget. Guys, we're in a bit of a pickle right now because none of us could compete with this, right? And I did a video earlier today. Let's go back to the channel. I did a video earlier today about this because it's really concerning. It's over here if you go to the channel. Right here. RCMP shutting down Financial Crimes Unit. Okay? Or fleeing your country. Let me lower this here. Country is one thing, but then openly, cherry picking potential rich people to come into the country, it's pretty harsh. Ever since Canada, here it is. Because Canada, but I wanted to enter the country clean. They can't even. RCB is shutting down its crime units, money laundering, basically, and the Mounties are saying it's a big mistake. Investigated. Why? Here's why, guys. Because Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. Without money laundering, Canada would be in a recession. So Gary Singh saying, I've watched you for so long. Prices go up. Nothing comes down in Surrey. Waiting to buy house. Prices come down. Gary, buddy, let me give you a bit of advice. Find out the property taxes because property taxes are going up too high. Find out what things are costing. Home insurance. Find out that stuff before you look at a property because home insurances are going up fast. People that own are being punished. So we're in a ton of heap of trouble, guys. We're in a heap of trouble, guys. I'm not trying to be all gloom and doom. Mike Martin's the loser. I'm really not trying to do that. I'm really not trying. But this, I gotta get a caller in the show. I can't. Okay, we got Supreme. Supreme, I'm gonna call you, man.
Hola, amigo.
Hey, ¿cómo estás, carnal?
So far so good.
Buddy, help me out, man. What the hell's going on, man?
Oh boy. I saw your video earlier about them canceling that financial crimes unit.
Yeah.
And I see Evan did one on that last night too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of higher ups that do not want these people to publish any kind of conclusions.
Oh, you mean Evan the Chronicle?
Yeah, he
Oh,
did a video on
I
that
should get.
that Toronto Star article as well. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, I'm really concerned. They're buying up Miami. Did you watch the beginning of the show?
I
Miami's the
caught
next on the
part of
chopping
it.
block. I got a email here from Cesar Rosa. It's written in
Uh-huh.
Spanish, and he told me basically that a lot of crooked Canadian real estate agents are coming down with potential like clients lists for
Okay.
people for investors to buy up Miami.
Oh boy.
They did that in
Yeah.
Seattle, where a bunch of
Oh
Canadians
sure.
from Vancouver went down with their clients list, and just look
Yeah.
at Seattle today. They keep blaming the tech companies, and yeah, the tech company workers don't have a pot to pee in, and there's 5 of them to a room. So I think they
Yeah.
need to recalculate.
Well, if they're prepared to live like that, past a certain point, you can't really feel sorry for them, I guess. But it's yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But I mean, pimps get around. Like I was saying, a solid extra here, and these real estate guys, yeah, they're property pimps. They got all this sweet, sweet Chinese money coming in, and they don't care. It's about the buck. They don't care about neighborhoods. They don't care about other people's neighborhoods. They just want. It's nothing personal. It's just business. So they're going to go anywhere where they think they can get away with it, at least for a while. But I mean, in the U.S., I'm inclined to think there's going to be some American realtors that are going to, they're going to have issues with this. Although, of course, it does keep a floor under prices. I've been told, I've read articles where more boomer type financial guys say, well, China overseas buyers are only 5% of the total, so you got to stop blaming them. You xenophobic racist types. They've got nothing to do with it. But the fact is, those 5% are putting a floor under those prices, and in some cases, bidding them up. And when you
Well,
bid the
we'd be in a
price,
recession without them. The article I read, $200 billion laundered in Canada.
well, sure.
It contributes 2.1% towards our GDP. We'd be in a lot of trouble if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, well, the problem is that just means we're in even bigger trouble when it does happen, right? A lot of the bank, and the thing is, these people are coming, they're paying cash. So as I've said before, this is affecting the banks too, because when all of the eligible buyers that you have and the price goes up, and you're not loaning the money to buy these properties to eligible buyers because there are none, then banking business is going to dry up that way too. You're going to have a situation where the banks will be lobbying Ottawa to let them amortize over 50 years and have all kinds of incentives to get, Canadian buyers into this market. Because otherwise the business is going to start drying up for them, which immediately, I can think of 2 or 3 things that could trigger the banking crisis that will bring all of this down. And real estate is you can hit real estate from 2 or 3 different angles with it. You could see where it's going to cause a major banking crisis.
Okay, I have a message here from Crazy Tracy, who lives in Los Angeles,
Uh-huh.
and she told me that the empty homes, and the foreign investing, and the boarded up homes, all in her area, and up her street, down her street, around the block, back block, alleyways, the amount of empty homes and no children playing outside. And she states they don't have to deal with the empty home owners don't have to deal with the poop on the streets, the violence, the breaking the windows on cars to steal change, and the foreign investors that are not living in LA don't have to deal with the crime, but they sit on prime real estate and leave it empty.
Yes. Well, it's only prime real estate if, it's a functioning neighborhood. After a certain point, when the crime and the poop on the streets and stuff like that gets bad enough. I mean, you remember you've seen pictures of, the former industrial areas of Detroit, right? And Baltimore and all of these Midwest cities when the Rust Belt basically died and everything went over to China, or it just shut down because it became obsolete, or it bought out by somebody else. Or those neighborhoods in New York, you see these apartment buildings and just blocks of streets that are completely abandoned. There's no one living there because it became impossible to live there. You couldn't raise a family there. You couldn't there was no point locking your door because 3 people would just, your car would be up on blocks, like you had to get out of there. So it's functionally the same thing here. They're buying up all of this prime real estate, but the degradation going on the street outside it's just a fantasy. It's not worth that. I can remember hearing some interview not long ago from a business owner in San Francisco, and I imagine it was not just a little storefront. I think his property taxes and whatnot, his fees to the city of San Francisco came to something like 250,000 US a year, and it's it's worthless. Like, and he's so invested there, he can't just sell his stuff and get out. He's kind of trapped there, and the city council is doing nothing to fix it. They're getting something out of this. It seems like there's an intentional displacement going on.
I think it's a pumping up of the economy. They're just pumping it up, finding any angle humanly possible. Because when they see, when you go on MLS and you look at a house in Miami, you could pick up a nice house for under $200,000.
Yeah, that's right. It's still doable. For a lot of people with the weight scale down there, it might not be affordable for a lot of people, but it is still at least doable. It's something that you can aspire to. An $800,000 in condo in Vancouver, I don't know who would aspire to that, unless you've already got lots of money. That's not. You're not going to build wealth that way.
You can't.
That's ridiculous. No, you make wealth by buying low and selling high, or taking a lower order of raw material or some kind of asset and adding value to it. How do you do that?
Perfect house for Gary Medeiros. Look, outside patio, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Look at this. In Fort Lauderdale, with a big pool in the back to raise a family, $280,000. But that's going to be gone. This dream of me retiring in 17, 18 years looks like it's a pipe dream now. It looks like
you're going to see a major migration. It's already happening. But here's the other thing. When the crash does come, and it will, all of the realtors that sold all of this real estate to these Asian nabobs, when the property prices crash, see, this isn't, you're not dealing with somebody, in Toronto whose family's been there for 100 years. They might go to court over it, but beyond that, they're going to take it personally, or they're just going to suck it up and say, okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, I don't think a lot of these Asians are going to be like that. If they spend $1 million on a condo and the price drops to $500,000, they're going to come and talk to the people who sold it to them. So a lot of these realtors are going to discover the hard way that they thought was a real smart game to play. They're going to wind up falling out of windows.
Yeah, because I remember when there was a couple of, it was this big tower just outside of Shanghai, and there was 3 units left to sell, and they sell them on clearance price, and all the condo owners in that area that bought in that area were smashing the real estate windows and the cars of the owners because they were clearancing out the last 3 units.
Yes.
So that was on the news.
Yep.
That was on the news for 2 days. But
it's brutal. It's stupid. It's absolutely foolish and short-sighted. But these things, they have, sometimes you just got to get out of the way and let nature take its course. Fools get fools' wages. You just don't play with them. And if the fools are all concentrated in these urban areas, get the hell out. Treat it like Sodom and Gomorrah. Just run.
I know.
Get out. Get out.
That's what I've been telling Steve the plumber, Gary Medeiros, all these people. I've been telling them the same things. You're gonna have to leave. You can't live where you live. It's not. I know your family lives there. I know you have everybody there, but you're not gonna get ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if you go somewhere else and you find a better life there's a non-zero possibility that any of your family suffering from the same stress of living in an area like that are going to follow suit. They might migrate too. It's going to happen. You just got to a point where anybody that actually wants to raise a family, they're going to get out. They're going to get out. Solid Exeter, where is the safe haven now? The safe haven is some gold and silver in a coffee can in your backyard, Solid. Where's the safest place to put your money? That's the thing. Yes, I want to invest in the markets too. I want to find good deals and get a return on my green and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? But good God, who do you trust anymore? The toilet needs to flush. And until it happens, you need to keep an eye on your, like some football player said the other day, you need to keep an eye on y'all chicken. You got to look after your what you've worked so hard for.
Yeah, I just
Mm.
I don't know what to say anymore. It's gotten to a point, and I've been covering this show for years, like years. I've been doing trends in the housing market. I was doing it when I was living in Vancouver. I was doing trends in the housing market,
Yeah,
and covering all different cities and all this. And Australia is articles right here. There's a massive uptick in Australian sales too, and it's
yeah.
all here. It is here. Let's find it here.
Hmm.
Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, Layla, it wasn't a confiscation per se. I mean, they had gold coinage, right? They just recalled it in, and everybody brought their gold coin to the bank, and they got a $20 bill for it. And then after they got all the gold they were going to get, then they revalued it $35. They didn't go door to door and start rounding it up because people also had guns. They weren't going to push it, and they're not going to push it this time. And they've got lots of gold anyway.
Okay, article from Australia from today.
Okay.
House prices bounce leaves first time home buyers behind. So again, first time home buyers. Then if it's not the Australian proper, Australian nationals are not buying apparently here. Then who's
Yeah.
buying?
Well, if someone's buying and it's not Australian nationals, then the question is, it's people from offshore.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't be any other answer. Um, yeah, that's true, Layla. It's a hazard. It is, but really, what choices do you have? You've got gold, silver, platinum. You've got platinum group. Precious metals. You could put some money into crypto, right? But I mean, the minute you purchased it with fiat currency. You probably got to use your credit card. They've tracked it. If they can't confiscate Bitcoin, they can confiscate you. No problem at all. The tax department sends you a letter, and there you go. Your trouble starts.
So here it is, the
So,
first
so
time home buyer triple a whammy. But for many others who weren't fortunate enough to be in a position to buy while the market was down, are finding themselves locked out of locations with good access to transport amenities and jobs, simply priced out of a home ownership altogether. So prices did go down in Australia for housing in the last 2 quarters, 3 quarters actually, and it's been really good. But the problem is with the weak Australian dollar, it's been bringing in a lot of foreign investors coming into Australia. I covered that on my channel, and foreign investors are surging back to Melbourne and Sydney because of the good dollar value they get from the exchange, and the 18 to 20% dips in some areas, which most Australians were still bought out of anyway.
yeah, that's right. It's like your local Ferrari dealer. Instead of $200,000, we're blowing them out the door for 150. Right? Like,
Yeah.
is it a good deal? Well, maybe, but it doesn't matter. You're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well forget about it. Yeah. Yeah, no, the so-called land race is basically over. I don't disagree, Mike. I mean, the developed world is developed. The new world isn't so new anymore, right? All the empty land that you might build on is out in the areas that people didn't want to build, the so-called flyover country. And as
So
we get an exodus out there, those places get developed, you might have foreign money coming in too. If you don't have governments that are willing to enforce some kind of national financial sovereignty, boy, we got it's going to be an exodus. And it's going to be an exodus going from place to place until people finally get mad enough to start hurting the people that are doing this.
here it is. UK prices affordability worsens over past decade. So there's 8 million people right now living in housing uh, below the poverty line in housing. Like I'm talking about like where they use like a plastic like a plastic tub for a sink, and
Yeah,
like they're showering from a hose, like weird crap like that. 8 million people are living that like that right now in London. And right now in
yeah.
London they have more food banks and food shelters than they do Subways and Starbucks. No, not Subways. Not Subway sandwiches. Sorry, McDonald's. McDonald's. I covered that on my channel too.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's outlandish. London, right? Like the first world, we keep pretending we're the first world because we just paper it all over with more and more debt. When that ends, goodbye first world. You might have a monetary reset, but the thing is, these people are going to be, oh well, by the way, yes, we've completely screwed you and your children and your children's children. Take this chip and come get some food, right? It's like no, the person that comes around. Uh, Oh yeah, Bree. I think that's my microwave going off. I've got a headset on. I'll go pop it. Sorry. No, it's you got to remember, as enough people wake up to this, and they have, because look at the populist politics taking place. You're going to have um, more extreme politics, and the elites will try to co-opt that too. But it's getting to the point where anybody that wants to continue what we're doing just under a different name, it's not good enough. They're going to be yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Freebie, for alerting me to that. It's going to be interesting. The idea that this is all under some kind of control. I'm sorry. It's pretty complex. I'm not buying it. I could think of 2 or 3 events in the last 100 years where if the elite were going to take over everything, they could easily have done it if they were really in control of all the nations in the world, and it didn't happen.
Right.
So no, I think it's going to get more chaos. Now, chaos is an opportunity for the people with the wealth and the power, obviously, and they'll play it. But as more people realize that they've been had and they've been played, yeah, there's going to be a fair cohort that some aspiring elite is going to smell blood and they're going to realize that they have a market. I still maintain that's what Trump did. You know, he wants to set up his own American political dynasty. I don't know that that's a good idea based on the experience of the Kennedys, but you know, whatever. It's big cards to play.
I found us a home. Hey, Supreme, if you want to go have a home, beautiful house on Delray Beach, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths.
Yeah.
And it's not far from the ocean, and you're looking at about $1,400 a year in property tax. But if you live in Delray Beach area, you're not even going to be home.
No, that's right. So you don't even need that.
Like, you won't even be home. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Solid extra.
I'm just. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Yeah. I'm just living in a pipe dream. You know what I'm saying? Hoping that Canadians could get back into the markets. You know what happened was, okay, Supreme. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But what happened was, in my opinion, in 1993-94, Canada basically stopped immigration from Europe. Okay.
Okay.
And what happened was they start to see a decline, or not really housing. Like housing, if you look at the housing sales graph for Vancouver and Toronto and stuff, in the early 90s, you would notice that there's really no movement. There's no sales. There's sales, but they're not nowhere near what they are. They're not even 10% of what they are today. So then in 95, 96, you started seeing a rush of other people coming in, which is fine. Canada it's all full of immigrants, right? Yeah. But now it's gotten to a point where the money's run out. So instead of wage working people like construction workers or the Portuguese, my dad was a laborer, all the construction workers no longer buying the homes, and all these people no longer getting into these markets like they were in the late 90s, then they started bringing in money in the 2000s. So if you immigrate to Canada in the early 2000s, you're not going to make it with a duffel bag over your shoulder anymore. You need to bring in a lot of money, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's gotten to a point now where they're bringing in so much money that the people that are here now, they can't keep up with these people anymore. So I'm seeing it, like when I saw that graph today on Better Dwelling, on how the housing, like here, I'll bring it up. A Better Dwelling article is from today. I think it was a Better Dwelling article. Hold on. Okay. It was from today, and it basically showed how, like, if you look at the 90s, it was flatness. And that's when they stopped European immigration, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Europeans were the cause of this, right? But you see the pattern. Like, it doesn't lie when you see the numbers. When you actually see, I think it's this one here. Hold on. Canada estimates numbers soar as BC sales surge, kind of. Canada has had this much housing. So Canada's building X amount of housing. I covered this yesterday. Right here. So you go back to the early 90s here. Okay? Like I'm saying, it's actually in a massive decline. It's going below 50,000 units built. Now, Supreme, we are at 274,000 units built in Q1 of 2018. Where when they closed immigration from Europe, they were roughly around 62,000.
Yeah, well, the high prices are still, the old supply and demand curves, right? High prices mean, are translated into high demand, and high demand is a signal to produce more of that item, or at least that's the result of it, right? So you have all these housing units that are being built because of the high prices, but what's the reason for the high prices?
Well, Pashka, thanks for the coffee, $1.99. Pashka, thank you so much. Okay, guys. Okay, but here it is. Now, okay, Supreme, let's take a step back from this, okay?
Okay.
Canada has never had this much housing under construction at the same time, okay? And before I read this article on my channel, I read another article, okay, and it's called Low Wages, okay, not minimum wage, Supreme, low wages,
Yeah.
on like 50 to 70,000, can't rent a one bedroom in 91% of the cities.
Yeah.
So why the hell are we building more than ever when nobody could afford to even rent it, never mind buy? Can you please maybe educate me on this, please?
Well, I'll tell you, kind of further to what I was just saying, the high prices tend to become a self-reinforcing spiral because they encourage, like I said before, there's an enormous supply of $800,000 condos, and there's an absolute bust in people who are prepared to buy either because they can, but don't want to, or simply could never afford that. There's a disconnect, and the disconnect is the speculators, because the price going up. I remember the 2008, real estate boom. I was in it. I got
But
bitten by it. I also profited somewhat from it. Okay, and people were building all over the place in my area because the assumption was that people are going to swarm in and they're going to pay this big money for all these homes that they're building, right? But of course, the whole thing was based on financial trickery and low interest rates and all the rest of it. And ultimately it spun out, and that was the end of it. They're doing absolutely everything they can. They're throwing the kitchen sink at this thing. There was a bubble bust in 2008. It didn't seem to hit us so badly.
no, it
We
didn't.
we had a hard recession here, but they did the same thing as they did in America and the rest of the world. They flooded the markets with new money. They lowered interest rates and all kinds of incentives. And the thing about recessions is they do tend to clear out a lot of bad investment, and people went back to work. Right? I mean, I went back to work. I mean, I was never out of work, but work that would actually pay me to live, I didn't get back into it until the beginning of 2010.
Okay,
But
so let me
it,
ask you
so
this.
that's the thing. I basically go ahead. Yeah.
Let me rephrase my question then. Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
If 47% of workers in Canada are considered low income, not minimum wage, lower income from 35,000 to 65,000 a year, okay?
Yeah.
We're looking at 35 to 45% of the population. Why are we building more than ever in history? And we could go back to this Better Dwelling article right here,
Yeah.
where right now we are building 274,000 units in the Q1 of 2018. When we
Yes.
closed off immigration from Europe, we're only building around 60,000 units. So
Yeah.
when a majority of people can't afford to even rent a one bedroom, what's the rush with building 274,000 units in cities where nobody even lives in it anymore? It doesn't, Supreme, it's not making sense.
No, the reason you have that high rate of construction, and my take on it, and I'll continue to maintain that my take on it is because prices are high. The fact that the people, the qualified buyers, are solid extra. Basically, it's trendy. Builders are selling to a market that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, a lot of these towers that are being built, these houses and apartments that are being built, they were pre-sold, right? People have already given them deposits for it because of speculation, or because they were afraid if they didn't buy then they wouldn't get in. That was part of it, the fear of missing out. I mean, that can last for a long time after the actual supply of buyers dries up. And the high prices are creating all of this construction.
Watch
So they
this.
want
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. I mean, Supreme, ready for this?
Okay.
Ontario homes under construction. Okay.
Yeah.
Canada closes immigration to Europe. Average housing built, 21,095. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward, 115,000 to Q4 of 2019. Holy crap. So back in the early 90s, like I said, 21,000. If you see the pattern, Canada closed immigration to Europe. No more European immigration. It's next to impossible. I remember that article I read where 66,000 people from Ireland applied to come and live and work in Canada, and only 2 got approved.
Yeah.
And the funny part of that is they did that. Then you saw this huge long of no real estate moving. Nothing moved until pretty much 2000. Then they started building again in 2000. But that's when they opened the taps to bring in more people from other countries. And then now you start to see this huge, huge incline. Bigger than when the Europeans originally came in the 60s, right? 1960.
Yes.
All the way until basically they closed the European immigration. You saw all these big peaks and construction building, and then boom. Now it's this weird thing, and you could see with the migration and immigration patterns, if you're looking at the graph I'm looking at right now, you could see exactly what I'm trying to say. Now the whole world's invited type of thing. If you're not from Europe, though. But if you bring lots of money, now you could see the construction going up since 2000, and it's just going right to heaven, high heaven right now. Highest it's ever been in the history ever.
Sure, it's just business. There's an opportunity there to make money selling to well-heeled Asians, and they are building as fast as they can to sell to them. Real estate to a lot of people is not neighborhoods and homes and things like that. It's just, and households. It's just a commodity. It's like if there was a sudden demand for bananas, you'd have new banana plantations, or if such a thing can sprout up in a couple of years. Popping up all over the temperate zones, the tropical zones in the world, the South Sea bubble, the Tulip Bubble. It's the same kind of idea. It's just, okay, right now you got all these people that have got all this cash, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They want to come here and, oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll build you a house. We'll build you a tower. We'll build you, we'll sell a whole floor. The realtors love it, of course. They're making money selling properties that don't even exist yet. The people that want to get their money out of Asia and somewhere at least comparatively stable, they're doing everything they can to undermine the places that they're buying, but they don't care. It's like it's still better than what they have. You get a 317%, I believe, was the last number, debt to GDP ratio in China. That place is going to blow. So anybody who's got cash wants to get it spread all over the world if they can. There's not a lot of places in the world where they'll let you just buy. Canada still just happens to be one of them.
It's the Commonwealth. Commonwealth's open to money.
Yeah, absolutely.
You try to go to some countries, like even in Brazil, they're really sketchy. If you bring in money, they're really sketchy there. Like some countries, like Brazil, even parts of Africa are really sketchy when you bring in foreign money. Like they look at you sketchy, you know what I'm saying? But the Commonwealth, it's an open wide. Try launder money into Russia. You'll be competing with the Russian mob. Oh man, you'd be in so much trouble.
Oh, definitely. Plus there's just not a lot of places in the world where you can be reasonably certain that your investments aren't going to be nationalized or confiscated. The Commonwealth still happens to be one of them. The Commonwealth is open for business for other people's money. It's the people that actually live there and built the places, whose families have been there from the beginning, who are having trouble accumulating wealth anymore. Our culture always involved, saving some of your surplus income and building wealth, building capital for your family. And it's just being discouraged in so many ways now. They don't want you to do that anymore. They want you to just make payments. They want you to work and make payments, and that's middle class now. So you're probably going to have to relocate to somewhere where you can start putting away some money again and find other things to put it in.
We can't,
or at least go somewhere.
Miami, I say.
Yeah, well, they're buying up Miami, but it's there's probably other cities in the Florida Panhandle that aren't that overdeveloped.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So anyways, guys, let's go a bit off topic here. I've been trying to make a mug for the Supreme Canon. If you guys go to the store, if you go to the Mike Martin store, guys, don't forget to shop Mike Martin's. I got some pretty cool stuff. So I got the Raven mug in. I got some pretty cool. These tights are. I've been selling them already. Sold a few of them already. They're pretty nice, man. I'm not. I mean, I don't wear this stuff, but I mean, for some people, it's good. We do have a Trends in the Housing Market mug for you guys that like trends in the housing market. Really nice mug here. So I got a mug made for the Raven, but I'm trying to get a mug made for Supreme Canon. There's the Raven mug. There's the Raven on the back, and it's like $13 Canadian. It's not even expensive. So if you guys want to support the transmission, go ahead and shop at the store. But you know what? I've been trying to make you a mug. Anything with Canon in it. I just tried doing Supreme Canon in Spanish. It didn't work. I tried doing a Supreme Canon even in Chinese characters. It didn't work. They keep sending me this message that it's like dangerous language.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I sent you the picture.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
Here's the Raven. The Raven on the mountain of skulls here.
Yeah, the Mountain of Skulls is fine, but yeah, some stylized Canon thing is just
They won't let me do
sorry.
it. I've been trying
no good.
Supreme like 50, 60, 70 different ways of doing it. It won't let me do Supreme Canon. The Raven's fine. Look at this one. I was a guest on Mike in the Night.
So is it the name Canon itself they don't like, or is it the image
that depicts like anything that hurts Hillary supporters or makes them upset?
Right. Yeah. Well, about like I said when we were Skyping earlier about just SC and a picture of a Viking longship or a battleship or something, or an old Royal Navy ship of the line or something like that.
And then we'll call it Supreme. But I can't use the word Canon in it. It won't let me use Canon.
Yeah, well, it's SC or doesn't have to name on it. Anybody who knows, right? That's all.
Yeah,
either that or I change my name, and I'm afraid to put a poll out here.
Yeah,
but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's asking if I have vests. No, I don't have any yet. Maybe should I make a Supreme Canon bra? They allow me to design bras, everything. This shirt's really nice.
Major guns.
There's the back. It's all colored in. Look at that. There's the back. It's really nice. Have you seen some of my stuff on my channel? On my store. It's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah. No, it looks fine.
The Mike in the Night there on the back there, and then in the front, it's got Mike in the Night. This cool looking Asian chick in the front. And yeah, I just wanted to throw this out there, but I'm gonna figure something out for you. Even if I have to make a Supreme Canon towel, or I don't care, anything.
Yeah, there's a way around it. I don't know. Like, it doesn't have to have a gun on it. It doesn't have to say Canon. It could just have the initials, or that's fine.
This one says Mike in the Night. Yeah, we'll do the initials. I'll figure something out, because I want to make that, maybe make a Steve the Plumber mug or something. Everybody gets a little piece on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. You got to get something with Steve the Plumber on it. Totally.
Yeah, for sure. Someone's asking me who designed the cool swag mic. I did. All of this is mine, and all these images were donated to me from viewers. Look at this wall tapestry. It's huge. Wow. Anyways, that's enough plugging for myself. I plugged myself enough.
There you go.
Anyways, I wanted to throw that. I wanted to get you on the phone to find out what you thought of this. Yeah. Let's see who else I could get on the phone, Supreme. And
absolutely.
Yeah, let me know tomorrow if you're not busy. I'll call you tomorrow around 2-3 p.m. I don't know if you're working, but I'll call you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, yeah, sure. If I'm not anywhere near my headset, if I'm at the office, if you Skype me, I'll show up, and at least we can text.
That's fine.
I might not be able to stream, but I can.
That's fine.
We can chat anyway.
Yeah,
perfect.
No problem. We'll talk soon. Okay,
buddy. All right. Yeah, you bet. God bless everyone.
God bless
soon.
You.
Okay.
That is Supreme Canon, and here to make a difference. Oh man. So much going on. Someone's sending me a shopping disclaimer. What is this? Ooh. Uh-oh, it's opening. Whatever that thing was opened up some... Take a look at this. Looks like a Twitter post. So there's someone's Twitter here. I'm not sure who this is. I don't want to throw it up there, but it says, big news. It turns out HELOC growth decline could be not organic, but forced by the banks instead. They may contribute to insolvency's growth. So HELOCs, which are second mortgages or mortgages tied to your property, are somewhat harder to get now, and definitely harder to get a limit increase. And some clients have been asked to start amortizing their HELOCs. Not many, but that never happened 4 years ago. So now they want people to actually start to pay down their second mortgages, aka HELOCs. Let's get Gary Medij. Gary, man, go somewhere where you could talk. I know it's really late where you are, but I think we need to get you on the phone, man. You seem pretty upset, and I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Let's get you on the show. It's been a while. I need to talk to you, Gary. Come on, turn on the Skype. Go to the bathroom or something, so no one can hear you. I know it's late there.
Hello.
Gary, how are you, my brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. All right, man. Okay, I'm feeling down right now. I just this whole buying out of every market you could imagine is being bought out. Dude, tell me something. What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say anymore, to be honest with you. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. They keep pumping up this market no matter where it is. I don't know, man. I don't get what the end game is here. I don't get it.
For those that don't know, Gary's been on the sidelines, has a deposit ready to go, ready to buy in the market. He wants to get into the market like just any normal housing purchaser, someone that wants to get in and buy a home and raise a family and, with his wife and live a decent life. But he wants to get into a market, a normal housing market. You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous to spend this much money on a house. You know what I'm saying? Have you been going to see properties or anything?
Mostly online. I haven't really gone in person. Just more online to see what's going on. I mean, I just refuse to spend $800,000 on a semi or a townhouse. It just doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. And earlier, you saw the houses I brought up in Florida for $240?
Yeah, I saw it.
You could kiss those goodbye. If more and more foreign investing goes there, that's gone too.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That sounds pretty messed up. I don't know.
So, how long you been waiting? How long you been waiting on the sidelines?
Jeez, I don't know, man. 4 years maybe.
Okay. Do you feel at least a little bit off edge a bit, or feel a little bit safer now that now you're seeing how property taxes are spiking and now they're punishing people that own homes because the property taxes are so damn high?
Well, I mean, I'm more relaxed, I guess, about it because I'm trying not to stress out about it anymore. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it sucks that those property taxes are going up, but it is what it is, man. The cities need money and they got to figure out how to do it. And that's one of the ways, right?
So they're raising property taxes, and also home insurances are going through the roof.
Agreed. Yeah, I read about that too. Yeah, a lot of things are going up. And now, look, the banks are calling back HELOCs, and that in itself is going to be that's a big thing, no matter whoever wants to admit that or not. Calling back HELOCs and amortizing HELOCs, that's not a joke. That's actually pretty serious. And that's going to cause a lot of problems.
Okay,
for
so
people
guys,
already maxed out those HELOCs.
For people listening, Gary sent me in the comments. It's there for you guys to see. He sent it in the comments, a link to a Twitter account that basically was stating that banks are asking for amortizations on HELOCs to actually make a plan to pay back their HELOCs are second mortgages in the States, or mortgages tied or lines of credit tied to a property. That's what a HELOC is. So, and now with them asking to pay down these HELOCs, in my opinion, I'm thinking they're going to raise rates on second mortgages. I think they're going to start raising rates in different areas so the banks can start making more profit. I think when they amortize it for a 48 or a 60-month period, this guarantees, the bank guarantees they're going to get their money back, but it also puts the customer on the hook with a time limit to pay it back. And in the first place, he wouldn't have borrowed that money if he didn't need it. Now they're borrowing that money to eat. What the heck is going to happen? Gary, do you know anyone that's in trouble financially, or is it just you're hearing it? What do you know?
Financially, I mean, I don't know anybody who's trouble. Financially, I just this is based on what I read and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't know anybody personally that's going through any financial troubles. At least not that I know of, unless they're keeping it from me. But I mean, as far as that goes, no, I'm not seeing it. Like in my personal life, I'm not seeing none of that. So I don't really know what to say about that. I'm sure it exists out there, and it's whoever says it doesn't exist, I don't know what to say about that. But I think it exists. I think a lot of people are on the brink, Mike. It's just they're very good at hiding it. A lot of people, go out and eat and all the time. Like I see these restaurants pretty busy. I mean, everyone just pulls out the plastic card and pays off for everything. I think a lot of people have accepted the fact that debt's going to be there forever. And I think people just live their life not caring about that debt that they have to pay it back. They just live their life, pay off whatever they have to pay off, whether it's the minimum payment a month or whatever, and just continue to live their life, not caring that debt's there. That's what I think too.
I can't do that, Gary. Like I had
Neither can I. I'm debt free.
It was a bill I got here on on Friday in the mail, but I got home late, and it was a bill that I owed. I think I got reassessed, so I had to pay the government a little bit more money. I guess they found more money somewhere. I don't know how, but they reassessed me, and I had to pay almost $290 more in tax or something, right? Dude, I couldn't sleep until Monday when I went to the bank to pay it, and that's only $300, $280 or $300.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't like to live with debt. My credit cards are all at, at nothing and all that. And I like to keep it that way. I'm trying to save money as it is to buy a home. So, I'm trying to put all the money I can aside for that. And I mean, it sucks because, a lot of people out there, some people probably have a pretty good, decent down payment. And, they can't even get to the market regardless of what's going on because, in spite of the down payment, it doesn't mean anything. So, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, people who actually can get ahead and have the money to put down, are pretty much, punched in the face with the way the market is, right? So, it's something's got to give here. It just, I believe the crash. I'm not saying we're going to see $100,000 houses in Canada, not even close, but I still think we're going to have a pretty serious correction. How much, I don't know, but it's coming, man. They're going to have to do something, or else I think the Canadian proper is going to rebel against this freaking government or something. So.
Yeah, but we're getting outnumbered now. That's the problem.
Well, I know. They're letting all these people in, and we're getting, like I said before, we're getting swept under the rug, and they're catering to the foreigners, and it's, it sucks, but that's reality, and whether people want to admit that or not is their choice, but that's what's happening, right? And if you got a lot of money, if you bring a lot of money in, they're going to let you in faster, so
you notice how we looked at that graph there, and I've been bringing this up. In 92, 93, they closed immigration from Europe, right? And if you see from 93, the houses built in 93 were 21,000. But then when they reopened kind of immigration to everybody and everyone that's got money to come in now, the infrastructure, our dads, we built this our dads built this infrastructure in this country, right? And then now it's turned completely 180, and now people with money only come in, right? And
that's what they're letting in. It's just people with money, right? So they can pump this money into real estate or the economy and keep this thing going. I mean, you said to yourself, I mean, if it wasn't for this foreign money in here, we would have had a recession maybe 10 times by now.
Yeah. But do you see the amount of houses? We're at 170 or 200,000 houses built in Q1 of 2018. But I read the article before that one on the same day that 91% of people with average incomes can't even afford a one bedroom.
Yeah, so
why are they building this if no one could afford it? What's the point?
Yeah, well, because they want those foreigners to come in and buy it all up. Right? You said to yourself, people are, realtors are going to China now or whatever the situation just to get people to buy.
No. I have it here from Cesar Rosa, guys. If you're just joining us, my friend Cesar Rosa sent me. It's written in Spanish. He sent me an email basically telling me that there's Canadian real estate agents going down to Florida and they're working with Floridian real estate agents there to bring over their investment portfolios of people living in China that could potentially buy in Miami. And the article's right here, so I'm not making this up. But the article doesn't state what Cesar Rosa said. The article just states basically that right here, Chinese investors are buying up real estate in Miami, and the stats prove it. Now,
yeah, but I also heard that they're going straight to China too to get people to come over.
Yes,
I read that too the other day.
When they unveil a tower.
No.
Like, one of those towers they're building?
Right.
They bring one of the plastic towers with the scenery. They bring it there. They unveil it. They go to the show. They've done it for Vancouver. I think Steve Saretsky put up a video one time. If you want to buy a Vancouver condo, you need to go to China. Because
I don't know. I don't watch Steve Saretsky.
Yeah, but it says you have to go to China to buy a Vancouver condo because they're unveiling it there and showing it to the public there, and they were making fun of us because the locals can't even afford to buy it themselves. And it was in the article, huh?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now they're even making fun of us about the situation. So
no. It's the article. Let me see if I could find the exact article. It says, Vancouver condo. What do you call it when they show a property off, like the plastic building, and people look at the units and kind of look at, what do you call that?
What was that? Sorry, can you repeat that?
When people go look at the plastic condominium. Here we go. Chinese sites to start marketing Vancouver condos online. Here we go. Vancouver developers head to Hong Kong to sell Canadian condos. Developers head to Hong Kong to sell Canadian condos. This is from this year. From a few months back. See, developers are piling into the Chinese territory to offer good deals to Chinese citizens, and Canadians can't even afford to buy. Vancouver real estate sees upticks in interest from Hong Kong buyers. This is a few months ago too. Douglas Todd put up an article in 2018. Is China buying Vancouver's housing bubble? Vancouver condo here it is. Vancouver condo pre-sales in Hong Kong. So pre-sales, they're called pre-sales, Gary.
Yeah.
See, pre-sales in Hong Kong. So what they do is they make up these little fake buildings made of plastic and show people what they look like, and they make fun of us that we can't buy and the locals can't buy.
Well, isn't that amazing? So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Mike. I don't know what to say anymore. All I know is, this country's in trouble, man. If it's becoming, I don't know, man. They're catering to everyone else outside the country except the Canadian proper, right? And that's the bottom line. They're just, they want that foreign money in here so bad, and that we can't even, the money we make isn't even enough to buy these freaking houses. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, I don't know, man. What's going to happen to the Canadian proper is the real question here.
People watching this in the United States, when Gary says he's going to buy a house for or he's looking at homes at $700,000-800,000 and he doesn't want to pay that much, guys, a lot of people are saying, no, guys, you need to understand the situation in Canada, especially in the United States, guys. From living in the United States, like if you live in Idaho or you live in if you live in South Carolina or in Florida or Georgia, it's a bit different. Gary's in a situation where the average home price to start a family is around $700,000 to $800,000 to start. That's the problem. You see, Gary can't go, like, let's say to Tampa Bay and buy a house for $160,000 to start a family. It doesn't work like that in Canada. We don't have enough cities in Canada. Like, there's more cities in Florida, major cities, than there is in all of Canada put together. So Canadians are in a really tight situation, and Gary is a prime example. He's got a down payment, has the family, wants to lay roots, wants his own place. All he's asking for is for it to be fair, not $800,000 for a townhouse, right, Gary?
That's right. That's right. But everyone's convinced that this market's not going to crash, that it's too much foreigners coming in here and buying it all up. And that may be the case. There are a lot of foreigners coming here with their money, but this market can't keep going like this forever, man. What's going to happen to our kids, and our grandkids and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, and my niece, my nephews, like, you know what, it's things I worry about every day. Like, I mean, if we can't touch it now, my wife and I mean, what's going to happen to these kids that get older and later down the road? I mean, how are they going to do it?
Well, that's why we're losing all our doctors to the states. Like, I don't know. Like when I went to the hospital, and I think it was the hospital in Vancouver. I think I went to check something out, or I was doing something there in Vancouver. I couldn't remember what it was, and I noticed that a lot of the doctors that when my wife gave birth and stuff, they all moved to the states. I asked, "Oh, is Doctor Smith here still? You know, gave birth to my first son." Oh no, he moved somewhere in Texas. I forgot what the Temple, Texas or something like that. Oh, and then what about the other doctor, the anesthesia, the doctor that was here? Is like, oh no, he moved to where did he move to? Raleigh, Carolina or something like that. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, right? They're leaving.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, Freedom Prospector says, where's Gary trying to buy? He's trying to buy in the GTA area, in the Greater Toronto area. Gary, I know Gary personally, and I've met him personally. He's not the type of guy that's trying to be like he just wants something. He just wants a starter home. That's all he wants.
Exactly. You know, a town, you know, that's good enough for me, man. I'm not trying to find the Taj Mahal right off the top of the bat, but, you know, to get into the market is all I'm asking. But these prices just to get in is stupid, man. The townhouse or a semi, just the money they're asking is ridiculous. I mean, I don't think homes for an average person, even a detached home, for example, if you have the money, should not be costing $1 million, period. For an average person, it's nonsense for a house to be that expensive.
Yeah, and then
I mean,
when you see
the
me,
average person doesn't make the money to pay that mortgage, and there's a lot of mortgage fraud out there. That's another thing too. There's no way these people are doing this legit to get these $1 million homes. I'll tell you right now, it's not happening. Not legally anyway. It's all being done differently, you know, outside the banks. I'll tell you that much.
well,
I don't think it's legit. I think a lot of these mortgage frauds still happening, whether people want to admit it or not. I mean, first time home buyers I'm seeing are spending 800, 900,000, $1 million on a home on their first house. Give me a break. You're telling me that's done on their own? I don't think so.
yeah, but
I don't think
the
so.
banks are getting caught with, you know, bending a lot of rules, and it's coming out. Look what happened in
And I hope
Australia.
they keep getting caught, man, because the banks are to blame for a lot of this shit. And you know, like they're the ones causing all this garbage in the first place, especially CIBC. They're the main cause of all this. So
Gary, let me ask you something. I know I've been telling you to move to, like, you know, if you could move to the States. Do you have
no,
family in the States?
I can't go to the states. Maybe outside of on like Toronto and the GTA, but not the states. States ain't gonna happen.
Well,
It's not an option for me.
okay. What about like I was looking at Stratford, Ontario. It's expensive.
Yeah, it is. And I remember when it used to be a lot less in Stratford.
I
A
remember
lot
when you
less.
could buy a house in Stratford 160 grand. I remember when you could buy a house in outside of Windsor in Leamington, Ontario. Leamington has a big Portuguese population, and you could buy a house there for under way back in the day for way under 200 grand, like 150 grand. You know, now I think it's just around 5 to 600,000, and you're in Leamington, Ontario. It's not like you're in
Yeah,
Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know. I don't know, man. This real estate market is so screwed up, and this organized real estate, these realtors, man. I mean, not all of them. I'm sure. I'm not saying all of them
Hmm.
are crooked, man, but the majority of them are, and they're another reason why they're pushing all these people into the market. They're the ones that created all this FOMO stuff and push people into the market. And Supreme made a point before about, you know, if when the market tanks and these people lose a lot of money at their homes, they're gonna go back to these realtors. I agree with him 100% on that. They're gonna be you know, they're pushed in. I don't think they're thinking about the long term, just thinking about, you know, that commission of theirs, you know, that hefty commission they get at the end of all these sales, right? And I think, you know, it just you know, they're going to be in for a rude awakening soon enough. I think they already are. I mean, there's a lot of shit going down and nobody wants to admit it. I mean, we're all seeing it. I mean, you and me, Steve, you know, Evan, we're all seeing this stuff happen, and you know, people are choosing to ignore that and just say, "Oh, immigration, they'll never let the housing market crash," and this and that. And then people are losing jobs left, right, and center. Insolvencies are going through the roof. Repossessions are up in the air when it comes to homes being repossessed, but yet nothing's being reported about this stuff. Why? Because they want to control the situation. They don't want to create a panic. But They
They're
didn't have
acting
social
like the
media.
market's never crashed before. It's happened so many times. What's the big deal of causing a reset, letting it reset, and bringing things back to proportionate levels? What is it? Is it all of a sudden
Because they don't.
become
I guess they don't want
inhumane?
people to suffer, man. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe they want, because they know a majority of Canadians are in a situation where if things do reset, almost everybody's going to be affected, right? I mean, maybe the few who didn't buy a home and all that stuff, but a lot of people bought homes, especially in 2017 when the market went nuts. I mean, a lot of people bought in that time thinking that the market wasn't going to tank, and sure enough, those people have all lost money on their houses, and I can pretty much bet a pretty serious amount of money they've all lost a lot of money on those homes. So it's interesting times, man. I don't think they'll let it reset because I think it'll be too big. It'll affect way too many people.
Well,
I think that's why they're trying to keep it up.
I got a message here from Skype message here. Sorry, it's on this side here from Crazy Tracy, and she's saying, Gary, stay strong. Markets are gonna run out of wind in their sails. Eventually, things will come to correction. Here in Los Angeles, the housing market's been going up now, pretty much steady since 2008, and there's no sign of it alleviating, even though Los Angeles is become an empty city, homeless everywhere, junkies, and violence right outside my door. But I don't see an end in sight here. Maybe in Canada things might be different and there might be a proper correction.
Where is this person from? Sorry, I didn't get
Crazy
that.
Tracy, she's from Los Angeles. And she
Oh,
bought in Los Angeles many years ago. And she's saying that all her streets are empty. It's all boarded up. It's all foreign owned. There's the price of housing is so expensive, and the violence on the streets, poop all over the place. It's getting out of control. And she's basically saying it's just homeless. There's tents all over. You've seen those tent city videos in Los Angeles, right?
yeah, I've seen them.
On the streets and everything, and it's getting worse. And she's looking to move. She wants to go to Tucson, Arizona, apparently, from her last email she sent me, and she wants to sell in L.A. She moved to L.A. in the late '80s, and now it's gotten so bad out of control. And I remember her emailing me. I had her on the show like 5 months ago, and she told me that she doesn't have friends anymore because they all moved away. They all left California.
Yeah.
So it's gotten so bad that people just abandon the cities. Do you see Toronto becoming like that, or do you see them just pumping it with more people? Because I'm scared because they have to build more. They're building more construction, and like the Better Dwelling article I read and made a video about the other day, the same thing. Oh, Canada right now is building more construction than ever in its history. But if 50% can't afford, 91% of average wage earners can't afford to rent a one bedroom, why are they building this for? It makes no sense.
To accommodate the foreigners, but that's what they're doing. They want that foreign money, so they're building all this stuff so the foreign money can buy it.
Well, Freedom Prospector saying money laundering kills the Canadian dream.
100%. 100%. It's the reality, unfortunately. I know we got a stupid government that's letting this happen too, because they want that money. Because our deficits are through the roof, and the Liberals are only making things worse. And that's another thing people aren't realizing, man. Because the way the Liberals are spending money, and now all of a sudden Toronto is going to raise property taxes. Evan made a good point that this year, or in 2021 or 2020 or whatever, they're reassessing properties in Toronto, or maybe even more than just Toronto. And that means property tax. That's already going to cause the property tax to go up, plus the increase that they want to do in Toronto. So Toronto may be on the brink as well, as far as people starting to sell over there, because it's going to become way too expensive to live in Toronto if property taxes keep going up and all this stuff. And they are increasing property tax in the next couple of years. I don't know how much percentage, but Toronto's planning to do it to pay for other things, right? They have no choice. They got to get the money from somewhere. But properties are being reassessed this year and next year. I think it happens every 4 years. So I think this year, the last time they did it was 2016, I believe. So this year is the year they're going to reassess. So property taxes are probably going to go up everywhere in Toronto, and then plus.
Well, they have to, because if property prices, Gary, if property prices were on a decline in Toronto for 2-3 quarters, they're going to have to raise property taxes to make sure they're in line
Toronto's
with what.
One of the cheapest property taxes around. For Toronto, their property tax is pretty cheap considering other places, and it's finally time for them. They've been paying way less, even in Woodbridge, Ontario. Man, they pay more property tax than they do in Toronto, and it's crazy, and it's it's about time they raise it, and it sucks for these people. But at the same time, you know what? They've had life. Some of them had these people who bought these homes and paid this ridiculous amount of money have had things way too easy, and now they're going to see what buying these expensive homes is really going to cost them. I wouldn't be surprised if the market becomes flooded because of this. Eventually, people are going to sell because they can't afford the property tax, which wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot of people.
It's
Like
gonna
I
get
said,
ugly.
are being punished now for owning the property taxes, home insurance, and now if you own, you're kind of so now, Gary. Like, think about it. That restaurant. I don't know who sent me the link. I don't know if you commented on it, where that guy in that restaurant in Toronto is paying $205,000 a year for property tax, right?
Yeah,
The problem is he tries to sell the building. Never mind if he sells it. Anyone, restaurant is a restaurant, but I mean selling the building. How is he going to sell? How can he sell that building to a person and said, by the way, your property taxes every year are $205,000?
yeah.
Who the hell's going to buy that?
Nope, nobody will.
That's how Detroit remained empty. Not because people weren't paying their mortgages and stuff. It's because the property taxes got so high that nobody in the right mind will buy a property off someone because the property taxes were too high. Why? And then what people did, they just abandoned their homes.
Right.
Because they can't sell them because the property taxes are too high. So now all these abandoned homes littered all around downtown Detroit. And why? Because the property taxes are just too damn high.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to go up here too. I think it's only a matter of time. And I think this, the trigger is going to happen somewhere for this market to correct, whether it's the property tax is increasing. Now with this HELOC, banks are calling back HELOCs, which is about time because they should have done this a long time ago. It could be one of the triggers that's going to do it. Like I said, I still think it's going to happen as far as the correction goes. The question is when. That's the big question, is when it's going to happen. They keep doing things to prop things up, and they know they're propping everything up for a reason, right? And that's two people already now we're gonna step down. What's in the bank? The Polaz guy, Bank of Canada guy, is stepping down, and now Evan Siddall is stepping down too. And these are
That's
two
a new
people.
way of not going to jail is what it is.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a new way of not going to jail. It's just I'm going to step down.
Maybe that's what it is. So, but I think they know what's coming. So I think that's why they're getting out. So they're not responsible for it. Even though I think the Bank of Canada guy Polaz is responsible for dropping the rates the way he did. Because if he never cut the rates the way he did back, I forgot what year it was, but when the oil crashed, if he didn't cut rates then to stupid levels, we wouldn't have the problem we have today.
I got a message here from Mike Fish.
Way too cheap.
I got a message here from Mike Fish from Edmonton, Alberta. He's telling me that his strata fees, he says, Mike, I know you're live. My strata fees on a 2-year-old building with very little maintenance, he says he used to pay $203 a month for strata fees. Now he's paying $550 for strata fees monthly.
It's almost like a second mortgage on already a mortgage you have on a place like that. So what does that say? I mean, a lot of people say go to a condo. I go, yeah, I can go to a condo, but I'm going to be paying more money for a condo, if not the same as for a regular house. So I might as well go to a house.
But right? The strata fees went up $300 pretty much from he says here from the end of 2018 he was paying a lot less. Now he's paying $314 more per month. Yeah. That's a huge increase.
Yeah. No, of course it is. And again, people aren't realizing this. Everything's going up, man. Everything's going up. All the and then the retail's hitting the tank. Retail's slowing down. I mean, I don't know what the Christmas numbers are like. I don't think they released anything of that yet. And they're probably going to take their time because they don't want to.
Of course, if it was good, it'd be front center all over B&M. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So yeah, the fact that they haven't released, we'll see. They'll probably find a way to make an excuse for it, but. And then our job gain, we gained about 30,000 jobs or something last month or something like that, when we lost 70,000 plus the month before.
Gary,
so somebody's not that.
We're gaining private sector. We're gaining public sector jobs, Gary.
Mike, these numbers are fudged. They're not real.
It's all government jobs, though.
They're manipulating the numbers, man. These numbers are all fake. Whether real estate and the job numbers, I don't believe for a second they're real. I think
the only thing I believe, Gary. The only thing I believe is payroll numbers. When you look at the payroll deductions and the readmittance, then you could see from Payroll Canada exactly who's getting paid, where it's getting paid from, who's getting. You know what I mean, right, Gary? Payroll.
I know what you're saying, but like I said, again, these numbers are all being manipulated. They're not legit, man. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
they're not real.
Mike Banks in the comments says he thinks that the numbers are fake too.
Yeah, they're not real.
All right. Okay, Gary, I'm going to let you go. It's late there. You probably have to go to bed to work tomorrow.
No, no worries. I can talk for a little longer. It's not a big deal.
Okay, I just don't want to hold you back because I know it's 8, 9, 10. It's like 11:30 there.
Yeah, it's late, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all good. I can talk for a few more minutes.
So what happened? So let me tell you what happened. This is a very interesting. I read this article, 5 different articles about this. Ireland, okay, and I know you've been watching me talk about Ireland and trends in the housing market. It's gotten so bad. They raised taxes on everything for this year, for this new year. The city is turning into an empty shell of Dublin, and everyone's moving to Middle Ireland or Southwest Ireland, sorry, or moving to Northern Ireland to move to Belfast. Now, Dublin is a very interesting scenario, and I'll explain why. For the first time in their history, in 2017, they saw this rare phenomena that they've never seen before in Ireland, and it was foreign investing / bidding wars. They've never seen that before. Now, the city is empty.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Like I said, I think Canada's screwed. Man. I don't know what else to say. At least the Canadian.
Hold on, I can't hear you. I think you're breaking up there.
No, I'm saying that the Canadian proper we're all screwed. I think we're all screwed. I think it's just they're letting all this foreign money in, and it's keeping us from buying houses or even doing other things, and it's getting to a point where we're all going to get screwed. If not, we're screwed already. So.
Look at this: 30,000 homes and nowhere to live inside Dublin. There's so many homeless people with 30,000 empty homes owned by foreign investors who outbidded Irish proper in bidding wars, and this is from 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So Dublin city empty. Here it is. Despite where to go, the city. See Dublin seeing more people vacating city. Massive exodus from Dublin to Belfast. Yeah. Dublin exodus.
I'm not too familiar with what's going on there. I mean, I've been focusing more on Canada, but bottom line is we have a stupid government and a stupid regulator behind the wheel. That story. It's the fact that they're doing they're hurting us the way they are is it's stupid, and the fact that nobody's saying this stuff is mind boggling to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. It can't keep going up like this. I mean, what's going to happen here? I mean, your kids, my kids, I mean, what are they going to do when that time comes for them to buy a house? What are they going to do? You know what I mean? And other people's kids or grandkids for that matter. You know what I mean? What are they going to do, man?
I'm looking, the kids, grandkids, but it's just this bizarre phenomenon.
I mean, the way things are right now, nobody can save money. So even if they wanted to give money later down the road, it ain't going to happen because it's just that people won't be able to save enough to do that. And that's another thing people aren't thinking about. And these people buying homes now, getting $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 mortgages at this point in life. Like, I'm 36 years old. I mean, I'm not going to get a mortgage that's $500,000, $600,000. I want to retire. These people who bought these homes with those crazy mortgages can't retire at 65, man. They won't do it. They don't have that option because they're going to have to keep working to pay off these houses. But nobody thought about that. Everyone said, oh, let me get into the housing market before, the market's out of reach. And sure enough, all these people who bought these homes now are going to work for the rest of their lives and can't even retire.
Okay, hold on. Guys, I just want to make this clear for you guys. I don't have a problem with foreigners coming and buying homes. I have a problem with foreigners and coming and buying homes and speculating with them and keeping us out of the market or keeping the Canadian proper, Australian proper, New Zealand proper, the UK proper, now the American proper out of their own markets and not living in the homes. I don't care if they buy it and they live there and they raise their family. But when you buy 36 homes and your portfolio's 36 homes in Toronto and they're all empty and you're proud of it, it doesn't work for us like that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't mind them coming here. It's not the point. I mean, they're coming here raising families or whatever. Good for them, man. But if they're buying and speculating and keeping us out of the market, then that I don't like. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people don't like that either. So.
I don't mind people coming from anywhere. Hey, come here, lay some roots, raise your kids, send them to school, do your thing, be part of the community. That's fine. But then when you're hearing that in, like, for example, in Los Angeles, for every homeless person, there's 5 empty units owned by foreign investors. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
It just brings up the price of housing, and then the people that were on these little, these people on these little military pensions or these, health pensions or whatever that were paying rent in California at one point because rent was cheap. Now they got rent evicted, they're homeless, and they still have these pensions, but they're just now living in shelters back and forth and trying to make ends meet, and life became a massive struggle at 65, 70 with the pension. This is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
It's not that these people don't want to pay their rent. They can't afford to pay their rent on their pensions anymore. So now the people that were smart got out of California at the right time. They moved east, and they moved to other states where it was relatively cheap. But now we're seeing it happening like this. I don't know, Gary, man. I don't know. I don't mind people coming in and buying property, but when they leave, what was it in Toronto? 111,000 empty homes? Was that in Toronto? Was that how much there was?
It was over 100,000 in Toronto. I know that much. I don't know the exact number, but yeah. And I mean, now apparently they want to implement. It's got to be voted, but apparently they want to implement vacant home tax, which I think they should. And hopefully that comes into play because I hope that happens. But going to something else, rent in Toronto, for example, you're spending $3,000 to rent a townhouse, like $3,000. I mean, if you're spending that kind of money on rent, there's a serious problem here. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You might as well get a mortgage for the same amount of money. It doesn't make sense to rent at that price. It doesn't. Okay. It doesn't make sense.
Toronto, 99,236 empty homes.
Yeah, there you go.
Vancouver, 66,719. This is a really bizarre phenomenon, Gary, because 15 years ago, people didn't buy a house and leave it empty. They just rent it out. Or you get what I'm saying, right, Gary?
Well, I get what you're saying.
Look at Los Angeles. 213,000 empty homes. That's in Los Angeles, guys. That's not Los Angeles County. LA County has close to 500,000 empty homes. And the city of Los Angeles has 213,000.
I don't know, man. It's, I don't know. We should, like I said, I hope Toronto taxes puts that tax into place. And I think Vancouver's already done it, I believe, right, Mike?
Vancouver's finished.
Home tax in Vancouver?
Vancouver's got 66,000 empty homes.
No, have they put that tax in, the vacant home tax? I believe they have, haven't they?
They put the foreign buyers tax first for foreign buyers. That was in the tail end of 2017. Once they put the foreign buyers tax in Vancouver, everybody ran over to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then the other half went down to Seattle.
But what I'm asking is that the vacant home tax, was that implemented in Vancouver?
Yes, the vacant home tax too. Okay. But it's not much.
It's only a matter of time before it happens here because we seem to follow Vancouver. So it's probably a matter of time before we do that too.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time for the vacant home tax. That's correct. But now France has tripled their vacant home tax to 60%.
Who did what? Sorry?
France. France implemented tax recently, 60%.
Yeah, good for them. And maybe that's what we should do too.
Here's the article right here. Runaway real estate speculation has been filing global capitals with vacant homes, creating artificial shortages in the world's most sought-after cities. The shortage has made local homeowners wealthy overnight, but it comes at a cost of turning lively cities into empty shells. The city of Paris has decided it's had enough, and it's implemented the tax in 2015. They didn't get quite the results they wanted, so now they're tripling their tax to 60%.
We should do this. We should do the same in Canada.
Yeah, there's 107,000 vacant homes in Paris, and 40,000 of those homes are not even connected to the electrical grid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a joke, man. It's a joke.
But you know what happened? What's happened, Gary, from people that have been telling me? You know what they've been doing now, Gary? With the yellow vest movement and all this crap, in Paris and all these riots and stuff, you know what they did?
Yeah.
People have been going to vacant homes, breaking in, getting a locksmith, getting the locks changed, going to the DMV department and getting their license fixed for that address, paying any taxes on the house, and getting the electricity hooked up. You call the electrical company and say, I want to turn on my electricity and my cable. They're not gonna ask you if you stole the house, right?
It's true.
So all these people now are living in these empty homes. They're breaking in, changing the locks, and getting mail sent there, like they live there, like mail's coming in. And squatting is like when you squat in a house is like you're just hiding in there and not paying anything and just kind of keeping quiet type of thing. But this is different. They're actually going in. They're getting a locksmith to come in and say, I want the locks changed in this house. Here's the money. They change the locks. If they can't, they do it themselves. They break in, and they've been taking over homes that are empty in Paris, and they're living in there. There's people living in there over a year now since the Yellow Vest movement started.
Yeah.
But they're paying the electricity, they're paying the water, and the electrical company is happy to bill them because there's somebody living there now.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's get realistic here, Gary. You call an electrical company, say, hey, I like to attach the electricity to this address at this house. I live here now. They don't ask you if you stole the house, right?
Of course. Why would they? They just want that income every month where we pay the bill, right? So.
Right. Same thing with the cable company. Same thing with internet. They're not going to call you, did you steal the house? But apparently that's what they're doing now in Paris. And since the Yellow Vest movement's going over almost a year now, it's been a whole year it's been going on. And more people are living there year over year. More time goes by. You get more mail there. You pay your taxes there. You just become part of the house.
Yep. I don't know, man.
Could you see that happening here in the West? Like here?
Do I see that happening here? I don't know, man. Maybe. I do see eventually people are going to riot again. Not riots, but they're going to stand up to this government about this whole housing thing. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. That I believe. I think people are going to be fed up, and Canadian Prop are actually going to stand up and be like, "What the hell's going on here?" And I think we're going to get a rebellion eventually about this. I mean, and I think it's going to happen, whether it happens now or whenever. But I think it's going to happen soon. People are eventually going to be like, you know what, that's it. You know, we got to do something about this, and it's only a matter of time before that happens.
Yeah, say Anthony D's got it right. The Chinese, where'd it go? The Chinese investors buy entire floors of a new building and condos and leave the entire 10 units empty because they don't want to ruin them with renters, causing additional shortages. Yeah. So what's happened is the building I used to live in Vancouver, the big tower I used to live in, there was only 18 people living in there. And there was, I think, 308 units.
Yeah.
There was only 18 people in the whole building. And if you go into some of the units, they're completely empty and they still have the plastic on the fridge and the plastic on the counter from the builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the building was close to 18 years old.
Yeah. I don't know, man. A lot of them too are buying their houses and putting their in their these empty homes. A lot of them are buying it under their kids' names, and the kids are like maybe like whatever 6-7 years old.
Yeah,
and the house is put in their kids' names. These empty homes, so then they have a place to come into when they grow up. So they're gonna be empty all these years until these kids come here to get these houses. Like, what sense does that make, and how fair is that to us? Like it's I don't know, man. It's our government, our Canadian government has sold us out basically.
Okay, I got a question in the comment section asking by Mike. Someone's asking, what is rent in Vancouver? That's by Bob Smithers. So I haven't been in Vancouver in like 3.5 years because I left the city and moved to a small town. It says here, this is from City of Vancouver now defines $3,702 rent as affordable housing.
Yeah.
That's the city's defining $3,702.
That's crazy, man. That shouldn't even be a rent price.
Well, no, that's affordable housing, bro. If you could pay $3,000.
Yeah, affordable housing. Yeah.
Is this this is made in like this is like for Mexicans, so that really means pesos. Everyone's going nuts in the comments. $3,700 rent is affordable? Yeah. The city of Vancouver now defines $3,702 rental as affordable housing.
Yeah, that's one big joke. And if people, that's crazy. Then that's minus your expenses. So plus your expenses, food, bills, you're looking at over $4,000 a month just to survive, man. That's nuts. Just the rent. That's
$3,702. So you're only paying $300 a month for food? I don't think so. Not in Vancouver. $300 for a week.
That's another thing that's going up. Food. Food's going up like crazy. Meat, fruits, vegetables, gas. I think inflation is going to jump up too. I think we're going to have some hyperinflation. Like, I think hyperinflation is going to happen. And then they're going to have no choice but to raise rates. Mark my words.
Oh, they're going to have to hedge against the inflation. They got to raise rates, or Canada's going to have to start buying up some gold or something.
Already over 2%. We're at 2.2 last time I checked, and that's already too much. They want to keep it at the 2% mark or lower. So at 2.2, and it's they're going to have to raise rates, but who knows? I don't know when our next Bank of Canada meeting is, but it'll be interesting to see what they do there. I don't know if they're going to raise. They won't cut. I don't think they'll raise either. But inflation being 2.2%, they're going to have to do something. But he'll be too much of a coward to do it because he knows what it means if he raises rates. So, which is why he hasn't raised rates, because he doesn't want to be responsible for the downfall. So, which is why he's finishing his term.
I have here.
That's why.
Let me look up that article I read the day before yesterday. It's up here on my channel. That one there, I really like this article. It's really cute. You know, it's a cute article. It goes in. I read it 2 days ago. Here, it's on my channel, guys. Where'd it go? Yeah, low wages. Okay, here's the article. I'll show you guys what the article looked like here from the top here.
It's impossible.
Here, low income workers. Now, anyone in the 40, Gary, hear me. From $40,000 to $70,000 per year. If you make $40,000 to $70,000 per year, you cannot afford to rent in 91% of Canadian cities.
Yeah, there you go. Right. What does that tell you?
But why is construction the highest at all time in Canadian history when 91% of people making $40,000 to $70,000 can't afford a one bedroom?
I don't know, man. I'm going to say this now, and Evan the McChronicle said the same thing. I think condos and rents are going to crash this year, 100%. I mean, even condos are getting stupid. Like, you know, condo was supposed to be a resort, you know, our last resort to get into the market, and even that's getting out of reach, or it is already out of reach, I should say. So, you know, it's you know, I think rents and condos are going to be the first to crash, or at least we're going to see a major correction there.
Yeah, Anthony D has got the right idea. You have to put 10 working people in a house to afford the rent or a mortgage nowadays, Mike. I read an article, I think it was 2 years ago, from Auckland, New Zealand, that there was 41 people to one house.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. It was 41 people to a house. They said it was like a dog kennel because they couldn't afford to rent. They couldn't afford to live. So 41 people to a house.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, now their realtors are promoting co-ownership, like buy with another couple or something.
Oh,
so
yeah. Isn't that fantastic, Gary?
It's amazing. Wow, yeah, that's amazing. It's so amazing, man. You know, it's incredible. Yeah. I don't know. That's a big joke. That's going to backfire if anything.
Low-income workers can't afford to rent in 91% of Canadian cities, making... if you make less than anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000, you're out of reach for a one-bedroom in 91% of Canadian cities. But, Gary, you know what? Congratulations. Canada's at an all-time high with construction. Yay!
Yeah, I don't know what they're planning to do with all this supply. They're saying now that we have low supply, but with all this stuff coming up, we're going to be oversupplied.
Well, we're going to be oversupplied. And then I don't know what's going to happen, Gary. I really don't know how things are going to pan out. I mean... you make $70,000 a year and you can't afford a one bedroom. We're in trouble, buddy.
Yeah, yep, I agree. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go because I see Steve the plumber in the comments, and I really want to hear what he has to say. So if you want to give him
now. Thank you so much, Gary. God bless you, eh?
Thanks for having me. Bless you too.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So that was Gary Medeiros, my Portuguese friend there. Let's see if I can get Steve to call in. I mean, I'm gonna call in Steve right now. He'll be my last guy.
Hello.
Hi, Steve. I got some good news.
Go ahead.
Low-income workers can't afford to rent in 91% of Canadian cities. If you are making anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000 a year, you are out of reach for a one-bedroom apartment. But on the flip side, Canada now is hit a new record of all-time construction all over Canada. Better Dwelling article. Canada has never had this much housing under construction at the same time. So right now, we are in Q4 of 2019. We have 274,000 units being built right now. So who the hell's living in them if 91% of the people can't even afford to get in?
Well, I mean, if the Canadian government actually thinks we're going to build our way out of this recession, I mean, I guess there's a first for everything. It can't possibly be, you know, assumed and picked up by a bunch of foreign investors. There's just not enough foreign money to build, you know, to build our way out of this. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're not really, like, let's say they go ahead and they bought 90% of all all the available stuff. And they went in. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead. Go. Yeah.
Yeah. They bought all the available or anything to get their hands on. And they equated to, 70, 80, 90% using high figures. Imagine this. I mean, if they're not, if they're merely putting a strain on the economy and they're not, adding to it, what does that do to the economy? That's just going to put us in a downward spiral. The recession is here. It's on our doorstep. I personally think, and many other people are starting to say the same thing, that, we're already here. Just with, mortgage originations are down, and people are really, really trying to pay off debt. As funny as that sounds, the numbers are shocking. People are really trying to pay down as much as they possibly can because they know they're over leveraged. And it's going to be a sink or swim situation.
So what do you think of Gary Madero sent me a link of a tweet where banks are now asking, or they're telling, or they're putting amortizations on HELOCs?
Mike, we already talked about this.
I know. Well, I'm just asking about it again. Do you think the banks are in trouble, or the banks are not making the cut anymore? I know banks are laying off a lot of workers.
I think the banks are. I think the banks are in a very, very vulnerable position, because, I mean, they're doing business. They were doing business with the wrong people. They were doing business with too many people. And if you do business with too many people, they end up being the wrong kind of people. And you can't just go and lend to everybody and their aunt just because they passed the sniff test and they look relatively presentable on paper. Anybody can fudge their credit and get their credit to where it's at in a year's time. There's books on it, from total credit utilization being under 25 or 30%, to not taking on any new credit. I mean, there's a number of different things. Before, 15, 20 years ago, if you didn't have at least, I think it was somewhere along the lines of 4 or 5 years of consistent credit growth, and established credit, you weren't getting a mortgage. They wouldn't even look at you.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why a lot of new Canadians, when they came here, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they didn't get mortgages.
No.
They went and they rented. They rented an apartment or a basement apartment, and they worked their way up and up and up and up until they proved to Mr. Banker that, hey, I'm here to stay, and, I want to raise my family here, and I got a good job, and, whatever it may be. Now you come across here, it's no longer by boat, it's usually by plane, and, you get off the plane, and DIBC as a representative, carrying your bags to your form of ground transportation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got the graph here, Canadian homes under construction. This graph is a good depiction of where we're headed. Now, like in the late 50s all the way into the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, you see right here, you could even depict the date here on this graph when Canada closed immigration to Europeans. You see a huge dip because no one was buying homes. And then in 22, we had an immigration reform. It's not like that they let Europeans back into Canada, but they just let European reform change things. You can tell right here in the 2000s. Now we've quadrupled where we were in 92, 93 when they closed immigration from Europeans, because it used to be the Europeans would come, work construction, build the infrastructure. My dad, our parents came, they worked these construction jobs and worked supporting to build this infrastructure. And then you see the dip here in 93 once they close immigration from Europe, and then they reformed the immigration, I guess. And then now, fast forward to, so we got 56,000 homes built across Canada in the 90s here, 93, 94, and then you move over, fast forward till today, Q4 of 2019, 274,000. But 91% of the people can't afford to even live in a one-bedroom. What the heck?
Yeah. So, I mean, the simple math doesn't add up. So despite what organized real estate has to say in terms of, them saying, oh yeah, I heard today that on BNN, and it's funny, the host on there is grinning from ear to ear because he's appeasing a large portion of his audience, being organized real estate and over leveraged Canadians, especially in the Greater Toronto area. Today I heard that Toronto home prices year over year went up more than the average yearly salary. Think about that for a second, Mike.
Yeah, of course. Well, for sure. Well,
Okay.
we talked about this a year and a half ago, where the person making $85,000 a year in Toronto needs to save 17 years to put a down payment on a condo.
Yeah. So at this point, we are destined to fail. You're going to start to see banks roll and massage their numbers. You're going to start to see them, I guess, blend all of their products into one that they have out right now. So they started advertising heat locks, stuff like that, a while back. Now it's coming out that they're doing this more and more often. I know Gary had sent me a couple of things this evening, but I was just running off my feet at work, Mike. But all that information is all good, valuable, tangible information. It's definitely 100% accurate in my opinion. But what people don't understand is mortgage credit, or the credit that is required in order to obtain a mortgage today versus even 6 months ago. It has ultimately changed, and it's changed because the banks realize that if they're not prudent and they don't do certain things, they know what's going to happen with that book of business. 6 months ago, they started to really, really, really take a hard look at what's gone on. Maybe even a year ago, and they realized their mortgage book of business, the risk that they had on file was just tremendous compared to what they thought it was. And house prices really didn't shift any more than 25 or 30%. And they said, they had things priced in to, barricade that or safeguard that. I don't think they felt comfortable one iota with the decline in house prices and ultimately where their position was as a sense of security with respect to their mortgage book.
Okay. So, we know it's a game. We're playing into this game. Whatever side of the fence you're on, whether you're renting, whether you're couch surfing, whether you're homeless, whether you're own, either way, people are getting punished, Steve. People that own now are taking a huge hefty fines in property taxes. People are paying more. And we got Mike Fish. Mike Fish messaged me to tell me that he's paying like almost $300 more in strata fee from last year to this year. He's paying $300 more a month. So people that do own right now are also being punished too, Steve. It's almost like a double-edged sword. You're damned if you do, you're damned. The only people that are not really getting hit hard are the people that own free and clear and didn't buy at the top of the markets and didn't tap into their equity.
That's right. And yeah, and believe it or not, Mike, the large majority of those people that you're describing are going to be dead in the next 20 years.
Right.
Fortunately, that's just the way that it is. And they got ahead on the promised economy, so on and so forth. And we're all paying for that now. I'm not bitter about it. I think it was, a good deal for them at the time. I don't think they realized how good they had it. I still don't think that they realize how good they have it. But that's a story for another day. However, I will say that this is not good.
Can I ask you one question?
Of course.
Do you see a Detroit-like scenario happening where, not that people aren't paying their mortgages, but people can't offload or sell their homes in the future because taxes are just too damn high? Remember that restaurant we were talking about in Toronto? I made a whole story about it, where he's paying $208,000 a year for property tax. How can you sell that building to someone to tell them, by the way, this restaurant you're buying off me, you do have to pay $208,000 a year in property tax. How do you sell that to somebody? Are we going to see a Detroit-like scenario where houses will be for sale, but people won't touch them because property taxes and insurances are way too high? Do we see just an abandonment scenario?
Okay, so the situation is we will not see a mass situation where people are just going to say, forget it. What we're going to see is we're already starting to see it a little bit, where people are. There's going to be two situations here, and you made mention of it. The first one is the over 55, 60 crowd, so to speak, where they own free and clear, no issues, no mortgage. They bought their house 30 years ago, and they basically paid it off in half the amount of time. Nobody took a 25 or 30 year amortization. They paid it off within 15 years. So I mean, you have that group of.
Okay, but Steve, well, let me interject. How is that person going to sell their $800,000 house and say, "Oh, by the way, you're going to have to flip a $9,000 or $12,000 a year property tax bill"? Great, they own the house, but how are they going to sell me or you $9,000 or $10,000 a year in property tax? I'm not going to buy that and pay $10,000 a year property tax.
No, but what's going to end up happening here is, and I'll finish and then I'll tie it in. So you have that group of people, okay, and then you have other people that bought in within the last 5 to 10 years, so to speak, and then all of a sudden, their job changes, or their employment or lack thereof comes into the equation. Their circumstances change, and then all of a sudden they don't have this disposable income. They don't have that extra money. That extra money has to go towards these property taxes, so on and so forth. And then they start dipping into credit to maintain their lifestyle. Okay. So those lifestylers we're seeing right now are now walking away from their homes, because what's happening is the price of poker in terms of overall carrying costs. Okay. What ends up happening is nobody wants to pay and sign up for that horrible deal. Even if they can afford the house, nobody wants that big extra payment, or multiple payments in terms of with respect to carrying costs. They want like half of that. So what's happening here is, as property values continue to rise and rise and rise, guess what? Property taxes are all based on the assessed value.
Right.
So now I've explained what happens to those people that are, we call them the fall off. They're called the fall off, when you have to go in and they basically say, I can't sell my house. I'm too far, in the tank. Here are the keys. I'm done. Or whatever. The sheriff comes and drills out the lock. Now, with respect to that 55 to 60 crowd or older, what'll end up happening is they're going to go ahead and they're going to say, well, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, me and my wife would love to buy your house, but unfortunately, we just can't afford to pay the carrying cost. I'm really sorry. We really need to we really need to walk away. Well, guess what? That house now has to drop in value. That house will continue to drop in value until somebody comes along and agrees that the drop in value, okay, is going to offset the carrying cost for the next 4 or 5 years until it gets reassessed at the lower value and then ultimately phased in. You see what happened there, Mike?
Well, no, I understand. We're going to have a gap in delta on value, but what they're going to do is, if the city is not making the money it needs to, it's going to do what Dublin, Ireland just did, and they just raised property taxes to offset that. So if property prices, let's say property prices went down 30% respectably, their assessments are going to go down, but they're just going to raise the price of property tax, period. They're not going to lose that money.
Right. But do you know why they need all this, why they need this extra money from what they needed 10 years ago?
So they could fund these garbage global warming garbage crap things they're doing and ruining people's lives?
Okay, possibly. That's one way of looking at it. But there's two situations. One, we're giving away, far too much as a country. I think I read today that not Lucky Sperm. I've got to stop calling him that. Mr. Trudeau, our drama teacher for our prime minister, he's given away, I think, 50% more than any other government that's ever been in power in the last government. Basically, Islamic not regimes, but in terms of other countries. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yep.
I'm kind of afraid for us to find life on Mars, because if we do, Trudeau will send them money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got some sort of a ticker or something that resembles a heartbeat, and you're in some sort of distress, and you can't grow carrots. Well, you know what? He's going to send you money and a bunch of carrots. I kid you not. That's just what's going to happen. But I digress. The situation is the reason why municipalities and everything constantly need more and more money is because the cost of living is so disproportionate to wages. If the cost of living comes down, subsequently people's wages will be more in line with what it costs to put food on the table and a roof over their head.
Well,
and they aren't going to need these massive pay increases. Our teachers will stop going on strike.
Here's the problem, Steve. We haven't touched wages. If you factor in all the inflation, all the different gaps and delta that we're seeing, wages haven't moved in about 30 years. Right? If you factor in, watch, I'll look it up. Wages haven't moved in 30 years. And this article, hourly wages in Canada have barely budged. Sorry, I'm going to take that back. In 40 years. Sorry, I take that back. Average hourly wages in Canada have barely budged in 40 years. The average wage Canadians are paid per hour has hardly changed since the 1970s, even as increasing number of people became increasingly educated, according to recent Stats Can. In 2016, the average hourly wage pay to a full-time employee was $27.70, wage data released Thursday found. An analysis of historical data and Statistics Canada, meanwhile, found the minimum wage and average hourly wage have remained more or less unchanged since the 1970s. So they're factoring in inflation, and they're factoring other things that are making it like that. So even though you're making more per hour, you're not, because the cost of everything has gone up around you, right? So...
yeah, you're actually making less in the grand scheme of things.
Right. So basically, 40 years ago, working minimum wage, you could actually buy a house.
Okay.
Back in the day, you could.
I see this mass immigration. I just read a comment by Anthony D. I'm not actually missing the point. I think I'm right on point, but I'll cater to what you just said in the comments section. In terms of mass immigration, with respect to wealth, that wealth is coming here on the basis that it's secure, and Canadians are secure, and there's jobs, and the economy's fine, so on and so forth. The moment that the economy is no longer fine, the moment that we go ahead and we announce that we are in a recession, the amount of pullback of wealthy immigrants is going to be astronomical. It's not a situation where they're going to double and triple down here. They're going to go somewhere else. Okay? They're not Warren Buffett. They're not going to go ahead and try to flourish in a negative capacity and hope for the best. That would just be absolutely foolish. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to come in here, you announce a recession, and then they're just going to come here with boatloads of money. And boy, will that be great. But it comes down to a point in time where these wealthy investors, they can come, they can buy the real estate all they want. But if they're not going to work here, and they're not going to, engage with economic growth, they're actually putting a strain on the system. And that is what needs to be addressed. And half the battle is just identifying it. And they need to stop it, or at least tone it down a bit and start screening people a little bit more.
So here you go, Steve. A little bit of a joke coming your way. So right now, I think Prince Henry is in BC or something. So see, Canada is bringing more unskilled people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know who these people are. A couple of people send me this article about Prince Henry and Meghan or in BC and this and that. I don't know who these people are, Steve. Oh, they have to pay. Canadians taxes need to pay for their costs. So
right.
pay whatever So basically, 73% of Canadians says they're not going to pay any of those costs. And then, wow. So I mean, this is pretty intense. That taxpayers are going to have to pay. Wow. That's pretty weird. You don't think so, Steve?
Yeah. I think it's revolting, to be honest with you. I haven't even looked at it, to be honest. I just, the whole thing makes me sick.
I thought they closed immigration from Europe a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When, you got royal testicles, you're allowed to do whatever you want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you marry the sexiest mulatto girl around, in the paper, you're allowed to come here. So, that's just that's just the way that it is. But neither here nor there. The fact that we got to pay for it when this guy's got more money, than any of us combined. Like I think the guy's worth what? Something stupid like $50 million right now, or
wow.
something.
That's not bad for an unskilled person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's done a lot of good, from a humanitarian aspect of things. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't even want to get into it. But getting back to the whole housing situation, we got a problem. And the problem is we're not identifying these problems. We're just continuing to say everything is fine. Oh, real estate's going up. Keeping consumer confidence a little bit longer, until everybody says, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And then all of a sudden, people are like, "Well, you watch, Mike. People are going to get upset when they're going to try to downplay how much their house is worth because they don't want to pay the property tax."
Yeah. Woo!
My house isn't worth $1.5 million. It's worth $750. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. So, Steve, where you at right now? You at work?
Yeah, I just finished up. It was a busy night.
Yeah. Well, I'm wrapping it up, Steve. It's almost it's 9:15, going into 9:15 here. I've been talking for what am I talking over here? 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I'm gonna make a Steve the Plumber mug, guys. By the way. So I have. Let's go to the guys. Let me do a plug for the channel, guys. Everybody, look. Supreme Canon joined the channel. Go to YouTube. Go to join the channel. If you're on Patreon, you could move to here. It's easier. Join the channel. Support the channel. Also, guys, if you want, go on Teespring here. You'll find the link on top of my channel here. Go buy something. I'm going to make a Steve the Plumber mug. I already made one for the Raven. It looks pretty. I made 2 of them for the Raven. It looks really good. I want to make a Supreme Canon one and a Steve the Plumber one tomorrow when I get some time. The Raven mug is nice. It's $15 Canadian. If you're going to buy a look at this. Look at this. It's amazing. The Raven, and it's got a nice Raven in the back, and it says Mike in the Night. And then we have another Raven mug here on a mountain of skulls. Really nice mug. If you're going to buy one at Walmart for 12 or whatever you pay for a mug, just buy one from a local YouTuber. Look at that. Mike in the Night, the Raven. Really nice mug. So I'll make a Steve the Plumber one. And Steven, have you gone over to the store to check it out?
I haven't had an opportunity to do that, but I'm hoping I have some time later on, either tonight or this weekend.
Just check it out. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, if you're going to buy a t-shirt, I mean, buy one local from $19 for a nice 2-sided t-shirt, nice V-neck ones and everything.
There you go. Yeah, I'm interested to see what what the Raven one looks like. And,
the Raven mug is nice, and I'll make a Raven t-shirt tomorrow, too. A nice golf shirt, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Mike, it's always nice to speak to you. And, wanted to let you in on a couple of things. I've received some Skype conversations and some prank calls and whatnot, but I've managed to get down to the bottom of that. So I think a certain individual has resurfaced, but just under a different name. But I'll tell you that off air. And you be well. Good to be with you, and we'll talk real soon.
Okay, you take care, Steve. God bless you.
Cheers, bud.
Bye. So there it is, guys. Shop Mike Martins. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys taking the time for making this happen. And get over there. Get yourself a pair of socks. Look how nice these socks are, guys. Look at that. That's actually pretty awesome. That's actually nice. I'm going to get some samples in for myself. I really don't care. I'm going to get in some samples. I'm going to make some new, there's morning coffee with Mike. I'm going to make cheaper mugs, like cheaper price mugs. These ones are not that nice. I got an ugly mug shot of me on that one. But no, I'm going to make them like this, like $15 mugs. Look at that. That's a nice mug, man. There it is. The Raven there. That's a nice one. I'm going to buy one of those too so I could show you guys on Mike in the Night. I mean, look at this towel. A beautiful beach towel. It's huge. Look at that. Mike in the Night. It's got the city there for this Saturday. Mike in the Night. And, Double A saying, I just got a message from OkCupid. What should I say? I don't know. Just don't tell them your height. If you tell them your actual height, they'll ignore you. I'm just watching the comments go by here, guys. All right, guys. Whoever's been shopping at my store recently, people have been buying stuff recently. I really appreciate it, and it really means a lot to me. It really does. That I don't make much. I make $1 or $2 off each item, but you know what? It shows that people care and people actually support this transmission. It really means a lot to me. It does. All right, guys. It's 9:16. I'm gonna go put my kids to bed. I hear them screaming. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. God bless. And thank you so much, Mike Banks, Layla, Persuado Scientist, Supreme Canon, Solid Exter, Steve the Plumber, Anthony D, Craig Cook, AA. Who else am I missing? Bob Smithers, Stevie Stevens, Kaholke, Craig Cook, The Raven, Gary Medeiros. Who am I missing here? Bob Smithers, I said. Anthony D, I said. Rainier Mola. Sanjay. Damn Slacker. Tyler. Palertier. Scotty Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia, is here watching also. Solid Exter. G-Man. Raleigh. Red Pill Gary. Jay Smith. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking the time to check in. And thanks so much for everything, guys. Have a good night.